they present those for the cats and dogs, for the pets, in the same sort of, so a couple of times, not knowing, I was buying the pet food, but the taste was really not good. So until I had a partner or a girlfriend, that we went shopping, and then I said, every time I want to buy tuna, but I don't see it, and I buy this one. It wasn't good at all. Japanese tuna. He said, no, don't buy this. This is for the cat.
Okay. Wow. So 1998 till now is close to, we are just 3 years away to hit 3 decades.
Exactly.
3 decades. Right. So that's quite impressive. Which means that you came here either just before or just after the economic boom had started in Japan. So
actually, when I came here, the people I came to meet, like my uncle and some of the elders, Steve and when I say Steve, I'm talking about Mensvik.
Mensvik Hotel.
Mensvik Hotel in Ghana, yeah, and many others, that they were here prior to me coming. Actually, told me that it's dying out, Oh. But I was seeing that it was really booming.
It was booming, but they said it was dying
out. They said it was even actually before was better than the time I came. Oh. But when I came, it was booming.
It was booming. So where in Ghana do you really come from? When someone is watching you in Ghana, in Accra or in Kumasi or somewhere in the eastern region, and who is wondering, where is this knowledgeable man? Where does he come from?
Actually, I come from Chiarman, the eastern region.
The eastern region.
Both parents are from the same village.
Okay.
And then my father was actually the chief accountant based in Tema, chief accountant of Tema Textiles Limited.
Oh, okay.
TTO.
Oh.
Yeah? So we were based in Tema, and then due to his job, he had to travel to UK to further his education as well as his job. That is how come we moved to the UK, to London, and then that is how come.
So apart from the United States, apart from the UK and Japan, which other countries have you experienced? Let me use that.
Well, my traveling experience has been vast. Dubai, most of them has been touring the places about, But as to live or really experience the country, then you talk about America, New York, and then Japan.
Okay.
And then obviously where I was based in London.
In London. Well, I mostly ask this question. Before you came to Japan, you had an impression of Japan, how you perceive Japan, right? So for me, before I came to Japan, I had already experienced Japan because of my boss.
Okay.
My first obento that I ate was not in Japan. I ate it in Ghana.
Okay.
And I remember. So you didn't come from Ghana to Japan direct, as you've earlier explained. You came from the UK. So how did you perceive Japan? Did you have a preconceived mindset? Did you have any knowledge of Japan? Have you experienced Japanese before in the UK or wherever you've traveled to? Or was it things that your brother told you about Japan that piqued your interest to travel to Japan? What was your impression about Japan before you traveled here?
That's a pretty good question. I actually was young and then naive-minded person then, I guess.
Okay.
Because I didn't have any sort of preconceived mind about Japanese or Japan as a whole country, All I knew that is where the technology comes from, If you want anything high-tech, it's coming from Japan. That is all I really know. So I was very much, just to come and see how
Japan
it is, you know. So
you wanted to experience.
Yeah, I wanted to experience it firsthand, you know. So when I had the invitation from my uncle, I wasted no time to honor it. I just got on the plane and then I honored it and I came here.
Okay, so we are talking about 1998. Now, when you speak to any African who is in Japan, they are either talking about entering through Hanada, Narita, or Kansai in Osaka. So where did you land?
I came. My port of entry was Narita. Tokyo. Yeah? So my uncle picked me up with his then friend. And then, not forgotten to highlight the fact that my senior brother, was already here. You know, who also, may his soul rest in peace, has passed away. But it was a good thing to have your uncle and your senior brother here. So it was not like that hassle that people had to go through without knowing anybody. I came in, I was happily resting in a beautiful home already. You know?
So unlike some of us, or like someone in Africa, who perhaps traveled to Japan. Japan was his first country that he traveled outside of Africa, or maybe even out of his country in Africa. So they come to, whether in Japan or anywhere in the world, and then they are shocked. Wow, what was your immediate cultural shock? Yes, we know that you're already in the advanced world in the UK, in the US, but Japan has always been a different culture altogether compared to what you find in the West. So what was your immediate cultural shock? The moment you entered Narita and Tokyo and you said, no, this is different from what I used to see in the UK or in the USA.
Actually, my first cultural shock happened on the plane, you know, because I was offered my food with the chopsticks, actually, you know, and
Ohashi,
yeah. Really didn't know how to get around it, you know. So that was alone was a shock, you know.
Which airline was that?
It was British Airways.
British Airways.
Yes, but flying from UK to Japan, you know, they would serve you this Japanese food.
Yeah, obento.
Well, would you call it obento? But the flight that was not actually obento, but the flight, the food that is served in the flight, you know. And then the side, instead of fork or a spoon or whatever it was,
they give you the waribashi and you
didn't know how to get around it. Yeah.
Oh, so that was. You didn't even get down before you were on the flight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but when I got here, you know, everything was uniform. You know, everybody was in the queue. The place was so neat and marvelous. So it was surprising. You know. And then getting home, and then after a few days, you know, you would see that the people are really respectfully caring about the surroundings, you know, and then obeying the rules and regulations of the society, you know, of the government, the rules of the society. Yeah, it was impressive actually. It was something that I admired, compared to UK or even way back home in Ghana. And then also, before I came here, I was driving back home in UK, and then you know, it was not really safe to keep certain things in your car, you know, like your jacket or then
especially in Ghana.
The face off of your sound system, you know. If you leave stuff like that in your car, you'll come back. Not only would you find out the car has been broken, the jacket would not be there. Maybe the jacket is just about 50 pounds, 100 pounds, or 150 pounds, but the windscreen or the glass of your car would be costing somewhere about 400 pounds.
Yeah.
They don't care to break the glass and then take the jacket out of it. So when I go here, you leave your cars unlocked, and it is still safe. Everything is intact. You can just...
Back in the 90s?
Yes, yes.
So let me digress a little. So the concept of Japan being safe because of advanced technology, because people say that there are cameras everywhere on the street. So if you pick something that doesn't belong to you, you are eventually going to get caught.
When I came here, trust me, it was not the technology or the cameras that you're talking about were not active then. As you can see now, they were there, but they were not as many as you see now on the streets wherever. But the people were just not. It was just safe. They wouldn't do any harm to anybody walking in the streets, even at night. If you can drop your wallet for some reason, or you leave your wallet on the train, and then you go to the police station, and they will be there with all your money inside.
Okay, so there's one thing that everybody that I interview on this show, right? The person tries to find a way to either dodge or swerve the question in one way or the other, but I always bring them back. It's about language. So, yes, you met your brothers came to meet you on arrival. Your brother and your uncle came to meet you on arrival. So maybe they help you in the process.
It was just my uncle that
pick you up. But when you got down from the plane, going through the immigration process, right? Definitely, I know now you are one of the most fluent Ghanaians, fluent speaking Japanese.
Okay.
Right, Ghanaians among all the Ghanaian community. Because whenever I hear you speak Japanese, I don't hear ano. There are some they are struggling, but you flow, you rattle the Japanese. But before that, on your first day on the flight, you got down. You didn't know a single Japanese, unless maybe probably heard your brothers say on the telephone. You didn't. How did you manage then the whole language conversation? Like before your your uncle finally saw you and said, "Oh, Benjamin, this is you. Come, let's go." Somebody within the immigration staff spoke Japanese to you and you were confused.
Actually, I didn't speak any language, Japanese language, like you said, but I didn't really have any problem with the immigration, because, they just saw my papers and let me in.
So no ohayou gozaimasu, no genki desu ka?
Nothing, they just stamped it and then they said, okay, move on. And then I came in, but I really couldn't get around it, Obviously, it's normal. You couldn't speak a word, and you have nothing to learn initial stages. And then there were no phones that you could use to translate and stuff like that, as the technology is helping us now these days. So what you would do is, you would get a pocket dictionary, and then you'll be referring and then trying to say some of the things.
So you meet a lady on the street. You want to talk to the lady. The lady says something you don't understand. You don't have to go and refer to your pocket dictionary and then trying to read the Romaji. What it actually means, and then you communicate.
And then you doing the sign language.
Oh, that
was difficult.
That was quite difficult. So the language bit is there. But what was your first, apart from your experience with the waribashi on the flight, your first Japanese food, and how did the taste go? But I know a Ghanaian from the eastern region, from Achim Chiarman,
who has been eating spicy,
who has been eating fufu and pembre and noburu and all that, and suddenly I know that yes, you have the Western taste. But you come to Japan and they give you some sushi or some food. There might some food that you are not really used to. So how did you cope with the food? Japanese food. Don't say, oh, because my uncle and my brother, they were preparing Ghanaian food for me. The Japanese food. How did you cope with that?
It was difficult. Actually, initially, I didn't like the food. I didn't like even the bento or the onigiri or whatever, because there was no that taste that I was used to. And there's nothing like that. So the Japanese food was really not something that I had easy with. But with time, I get to like them because that is all that you can eat. You have to survive.
What's your worst experience with the Japanese food?
The sushi.
What happened? What happened with the sushi?
Obviously, a lady invited me out, and then, we went to the restaurant, and then she thought I'm okay with the sushi. And when I was also so happy to go out,
Yeah.
We got there, and then the food was served fresh. The fish was there, everything. I said, God damn, what is this? And I said, yeah, this is sushi. And she was just enjoying it, And when I tried to taste it, though, I started pulling out and everything.
Gero.
Yeah. It wasn't pleasant at all. I had to rush to the toilet. And then when I came back, even the following day or two, I started having some stomach upsets and stuff like that. That was the worst experience.
Oh. And so this was in your
very first early stages.
The early stages. Wow. So you've crossed there with the header with the food and language. How did you integrate into the Japanese society? I know that your relations here help you to do that, but how did you do that on your own?
Actually, both my uncle and my brother were in business. My uncle was in multiple business, club business, clothing business, record business, and then my brother was in clothing business. So I spent most of the time in my brother's shop. And that is how I started picking up the language.
The language.
Because every day someone would come to the shop, trying to buy something. Even though I couldn't, I would be there listening to how they convince the person to buy the stuff. You understand? So listening to them, and then the gestures and the tonation and stuff like that. And when the people are also responding or saying stuff, I think I am a little bit fast learner in terms of languages. So,
in terms of everything.
Yeah.
Because you are shark. When I say you are knowledgeable, you are shark. You are IT shark. You are everything.
So I picked up the language from there, and that is sort of a street life talk. It wasn't most of the things that you learn then are not really official,
the formal
polite way to say it. But it got you there. It will get you somewhere.
So like broken Japanese.
Yeah, street language. Yeah. So that is how, and then you find out that most of the time when I come up and come to open the shop, there will be nobody there, just myself. And then the customer will walk in, and then I will be able to convince the customer to buy stuff. And when they come, or my colleagues or my brother comes back, they'll be surprised. I sold a couple of items.
How do you manage?
How did you tell them? How do you do that? And they were like, "You're sharp, like you're saying."
Yeah.
And most of the guys, when I came here, were coming straight from Africa. So the train system was a bit confusing and complicated, and the network is a bit complicated when you come to Japan. So, but it was quite easy for me. Didn't find it that complicated because I was not really coming from Ghana. So it was a bit easy. So I quite remember we left certain things, some stuff back home. And my brother was like, I need to go back. I said, I can go and pick it. He said, no, you. I said, what are you talking about? I'll go and bring it. To travel from Shibuya to where my brother was living was about 45 minutes train ride.
Train?
Yeah, and you have to change about 3 or 4 trains to want to get to that destination. And
which is quite difficult for
normal, being here after 3 days or 4 days was unbelievable to them, And I went there and I came back with the items and they were really surprised. I said, it's normal.
You came here in the late 90s. Who were some of the... I know you are not part of the pioneers, but there are people who came here in the 80s.
Well, yes, my uncle.
Yes, they are there. But in terms of your contemporaries, like who were some of them and how did you grow in the time? Because there's also another interesting question I'll ask you, but I want to know how you mingled around the Ghanaian community at the time, like I said, your contemporaries, and then the kind of things that interest you at the time.
When I came, I had a couple of friends, really good ones, and I don't hear from them these days. I don't even know what they were about, like OPP. I was working with my brother. It was a nice friend. And then I also met Charlie. There was one guy who's been here, very good brother of mine, Charlie. And then a couple of guys, they were really nice to me. And we were living together. Justice. He's also rest in peace. He's also passed away. Yeah, I came to meet this with friends. And then Nana Jehu, and a lot of guys, George.
Yeah.
I met George way back in Osaka.
In Osaka?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was in Osaka, Tokyo for just about 6 months. And I went back, and I came again. And then just after a month, I went to Osaka. So in the early stages, I was in Tokyo, but I went to Osaka.
So, like you earlier mentioned, so it was the era before smartphones, right? So I learned it was the time that phone booths were all over in town. And when I mentioned phone booth, I see that the smile is already showing up on your face.
Yeah.
I learned that there was a very intelligent, smart way that people used to, dribble the systems more.
I really used it a lot, This is it Pakistanis or no? I think it was the Pakistanis. I don't know how they do it, but they use telephone cards. They split it into two and join it the other way around, and the machine still picks it up. I don't know how to do it, and they sell a bunch of this.
Iranians.
Iranians, yeah, thank you, yeah. They sell a bunch of this like for 1,000 yen. And then when you go into the telephone booth, you slot the first card and you dial your international code and it calls outside. And as you're talking, you'll be flipping the other cards,
So the call continues.
The call continues for free, basically. But they saw that they were losing the telecommunication systems. They found out that, and they changed their system, so the cards were not working anymore.
Okay.
You can buy a bunch and then you go there and all of it will not work. That means you've lost all your 1,000.
Your 1,000. Yeah. So, was there any point that you got in trouble with I don't want to say police, but going to use that, and then maybe someone figured out what this guy is using to make this thing make your call is not genuine, and then you have to.
Yeah, that's a good question. But basically, personally, I didn't experience anything like that. But yes, the news was going around that the police were catching people who were doing that. When they see you standing in the phone booth for a very long time, yeah, they approach you and then they look the cards that you're using to make the phone calls, and then they arrest you. But I was.
Oh, you were not engaged in that sort of things. I know you are a sharp guy, smart man, who will not get involved in those things. Yeah. But it was a popular. That's why I asked you about your contemporaries, So I mean that was way back then. Moving on, I think that you will be one of the best guests on this platform or on this show to tell us what do you think are the significant changes that Japan has experienced from the late 90s or from the mid 90s or from the early 90s before you came to what you experienced and what we are experiencing in 2025? What are some of the significant changes that you say, oh, you can sit back and say, oh, I came to Japan 28 years ago. No, but yeah, 28 years ago. Things were not like this.
They weren't.
It has either gotten better or it has gotten worse. We want you to chronicle those things for us. We are very much interested in it.
Oh, I see. But that's a good question as well. Actually, my first point I would like to raise in terms of the significant changes is the integration of foreigners in Japan now, because many foreigners are residing here officially, and then being part of the G8, yeah. I think to get there, they had to incorporate a lot of things that would help foreigners that come to either stay or visit Japan. So when we came initially, there was no English translation of anything.
Okay.
All the signboards were just typical Japanese.
And it was either kanji or katakana or...
That's it, yeah. It's Japanese, yeah. So you can't read it. You don't know. You have to get someone to show you. Even the police cars didn't have police written on it. It's just case of that city.
In kanji?
Yeah, in kanji, yeah. Even it's Tokyo case is Tokyo. In kanji, yeah.
So even if you see a police car and you can't read, you don't know. Yeah, you don't. Just the color that you can use to identify.
The color of the car or the car that you can tell is a police car, but you wouldn't know which prefecture that police car is
coming from.
But even now, you wouldn't know. But now it's written police on it, yeah? Just like any other country that you go. Yeah? And then all the signboards now has whatever is written in Japanese is also literally written in English underneath. Yeah. When you go to the train stations, all the train stations have English by languages. They have the Japanese language and then the English language written as well. That wasn't there.
That wasn't there. So that was a significant change because now you sit in a dencha, right? And then there are communication in Japanese language, Chinese, English, and I think one other language, Korean.
Yeah.
So which from what you are saying, the Japanese society has or is trying to become more receptive.
Yes,
to foreigners.
they've incorporated a lot of
foreign ideas.
Even if you buy gadgets now, then the gadgets were not as compared to now. But whatever you buy, you are sure you're not going to get a Japanese. You're not going to get an English version. Strictly Japanese.
Everything Japanese.
Strictly Japanese. But now, basically everything that you buy, there is a menu that...
Life was very difficult.
It was really difficult then.
Because if it was in kanji or katakana or hiragana, you don't have a smartphone to even translate and read what you mean. If you can't read, finish. And you don't understand the language, a Japanese comes to read for you. He or she cannot speak English. So you are basically stranded. Maybe use sign language to communicate.
Yes.
At this point, we want to go for a quick commercial break to acknowledge our sponsors. We will be right back after this short break.
Afeina grone beyede. We are Ghana near Japan, Tokyo. Jafric Radio, in collaboration with African Home Touch Restaurant and Bar, present you a Mutuo Special. Kwesiede Chatuo Bosumenu Biara, Brani ni Ghana ni Africa Diane Papa B. From Jollof Rice, Ekopimu Fufu, Team, from High Life to Afrobeat, and young Papa Niye Yenke Nasawati. Every last Sunday of the month, a Hane Bosso, Untimi New Film. Frɛ number na gye mo nkyerɛmu 09083011149. Omutuo special our African home touch restaurant and bar. Let's bring a taste of Africa to Tokyo. Nyumaku eboya chidon. Jafric Radio, Japan. Africa home touch restaurant. Roppongi, Tokyo. Yentimin chain. Bra yen ni Ghana duane papa bi. Yan toke semfa Ghana nyum papa bi niasa. Ebrininiye Jafric Radio. Connecting you to the African diaspora worldwide. Wait dear edamufua.
You mentioned your experience with or what you think has changed about Japan from the period that you were here till now, and you said that the Japanese society has grown more receptive of foreigners and trying to integrate foreign cultures. And cultures here, I'm referring to language, in terms of food, in terms of a lot of things into Japan. Apart from these things, what are some of the significant things that you think has changed within the period that you have been here?
A lot has changed, actually. When I first, initially, or when I first came around, you wouldn't be able to just go into places, they would say, Gajin Dame, you cannot rent an apartment easily like that.
Gaikokujin.
Dame, yeah.
Yeah, Gaikokujin or just Gaijin.
Whichever. Gaikokujin or Gaijin, all of them.
So this guy.
Yeah. And so but now it's not like that, That has also changed a lot.
So you couldn't rent.
Yes,
you find it difficult.
Yeah, most of over 90% of the apartments that are being rented or the agencies that can get you would say to you that you are a foreigner and you cannot rent the apartment.
Wow.
So what we did then was we normally get Japanese or our girlfriends to rent in their names, and before they realize it's a foreigner living in the that has also has changed, and then that has a lot actually has changed. But when you talk about changes, because the country is also growing. Wherever you go, you'd have people welcoming you as a foreigner, compared to before that. When they see you, they run away and they sort of bikrishta. When you get in an elevator, nobody wants to join you in the elevator. When you sit in the train, nobody will sit beside you, because you are foreign.
Well, to add to that, recently there was a publication on mainichi.com. It's one of the Japanese portals, and they were writing an article about the Japanese immigration in Saitama going to basic schools where Japanese children are, to teach them on how to live or integrate with foreigners. So it shows that Japan has gone a very long way in that regard in terms of how they're becoming receptive to foreigners. But I learned that there was a period, within that period, that you see the normal security people, some of them standing in front of the bank, some of them wearing either brown apparel or something. The moment a Ghanaian, you didn't have that problem because you came in legitimately. But there were those who overstayed. And when immediately they see those, they think they are police. They are coming to speed. I heard there was also a period like that. You didn't experience that, but at least I know you saw many. Your friends told you many of such stories. Don't mention names.
Yeah. Yes, because the security uniforms, they look like official police uniforms. They have these caps that they use, and they have these shiny badges of crowns on their shoulders and stuff. So when you see them and you are, you being illegal or overstayed, you would obviously think that they are looking for you, or they're policemen looking for you. So You have to find a place to
what's
secure yourself.
What's the funniest story a friend or a Ghanaian ever told you about such encounter? I don't. You are not allowed to mention the name of the person. The funniest that you can think of.
One of the stories that happened was a friend of mine was actually stopped and arrested by the police, and then they put him in the police van. You know, they were transporting him to the police station or whatever to detain him, and the guy jumped from the windows and he booted out, and the police were chasing him, you know.
Wow.
And then, you know, because he was so fast and, you know, running faster than the police, they couldn't really catch up with him. And eventually they called on backup. So there were a lot of police, you know, coming in the area to find him, you know. So whilst he was hidden under the he stayed there for a very long time, and then when the situation subsided a bit, you know, he came out. That was an experience he told me that I thought was really serious but funny, you know, because to jump from the windows was unexpected.
That might be quite interesting to happen within that period. I hear a lot of stories very interesting stories that happened during the period. One of them being how the Japanese society at the time, right, had some group of people that in P they call them Nkuraboni. In Japanese, is it Yakuza or Yahuza or what do they call them?
Yakuzas, eh?
Yakuzas, yeah. They come and then they're walking like this, and then they had a lot of control in Japan.
Now they don't.
Yeah, now they don't. The system has tried to neutralize their base. Yeah. How did you find that as a young guy coming in from having experience from Europe and America, and then coming to Japan, and then you see, because in America there's this gang life, right? And then you come to Japan, and then you see there's a presence of Yakuzas.
Yakuzas,
yes.
Yeah.
And then they are.
It was really active and very effective group that was running. Every area had a Yakuza controlling that area. So Yakuzas have fights most of the times, and most of the Yakuzas want to portray that they are most powerful. Yeah. But they also like foreigners. So if you are a foreigner and you are a bit stout or big, they want to bring you.
They want to bring you in, yes. And then
you don't get into their business. It's just
you're on the sidelines,
yeah. I tend to have a lot of friends that are actually opposers.
Because of
the size,
the size,
and they think you're strong. They'll get you for a bodyguard and stuff like that. And anytime you are going to run a business, you have to go to the Japanese Yakuza's office that is controlling that particular area that you are running your business to pay your
dues.
Your dues,
your tithe,
so that they would protect you from any other Yakuza coming to disturb you. Yeah, in so doing, they would also come to your place of business, if it's a restaurant or it's an entertainment place or a clothing business, they would come and then patronize your business as well. So their presence there also gives you some sort of security. When others see that, this place is backed by this Yakuza, you are assured of safety.
Maximum security.
Yeah. Because they know when they come there, this Yakuza would stand up, for you.
For you. Wow. So, I want to ask, it's not going to be one, but tell us a series. What has been your most, I'm using the word to the extremes, your most funniest experiences in Japan for the past 28 years or 27 years that you've been here, both in and out. I know you've been traveling a lot. You are a journeyman, so you've been traveling a lot. But within and without, for this period over 2 decades, you are getting to your 3rd decade in Japan. Chronicle for us, like the funniest experiences that you've had in Japan.
I can't tell about really funniest, but you know, let me talk about this issue because it was when you first come, or when I came, and you go to the convenience store or the supermarket. You realize that you would want to buy the cheap stuffs, because you are trying to play economic, manage your finances well, yeah? So, when you go shopping, you'll be looking at the prices, and because you cannot read what is written there, it's only the drawings, yeah? And then, most of the canned items, the food, the ones that are like canned tuna or canned fish,
sardine, Ghana for sardine.
They present those for the cats and dogs, for the pets, in the same sort of, so a couple of times, not knowing, I was buying the pet food, but the taste was really not good. So until I had a partner or a girlfriend, that we went shopping, and then I said, every time I want to buy tuna, but I don't see it, and I buy this one. It wasn't good at all. Japanese tuna. He said, no, don't buy this. This is for the cat. She was laughing, It was like,
wait. This is a very serious
case. Yeah.
So
most of the people the Ghanaian were even eating them for a very long time, until they realized this is for the cat.
This is a very serious case.
Yeah.
That Chiarman Benjamin at the time was buying canned fish, aka sardine, meant for the cat.
It was for once, because when I bought it, I thought I had bought something that is, normal tuna fish, yeah. But it wasn't. So upon inquiring about it, that is when I got to know that one is for the pets, So it's sort of educative thing, you try to tell people. And sometimes you would want to buy juice, and you think you are buying orange juice, and then you find out that you are buying alcohol, You can't read anything on the can, You can't read anything. So it was difficult, actually. So you have to buy it. You want to buy salt, and then you would see you'd buy something else.